Well, we're speaking about sales and demo cases and some of the things that you should be thinking about as you organize that project. It's typical for folks to think in terms of, okay, we've got all of our gear here. Let's get this laid out with a slot for everything and everything in its place. And we promote that very heavily in situations like tools or things where those cutaways are an aid in helping retrieve and helping validate that you've got everything there. For example, we've worked with medical customers that go out with implant devices to do training. At the end of the day, even though you're working with highly skilled doctors, the top end of their profession, that conference room looks like a kindergarten, and the stuff is scattered everywhere. The 30 cases you brought and the contents are all mixed up, so you desperately need that shadow boxing in order to be able to recover that. In turn, the opposite side of that are situations that we've often seen where companies have invested a lot to get their demo gear just right. The sales manager takes a ride with his ace salesperson 3 months later, and he doesn't recognize the interior of that case. They've grabbed their paring knife out of the kitchen, they whittled it up because they don't agree with what the folks that laid the case out wanted. They want to include this, they want to include that. And very often, the people who originally designed the case don't have that granular knowledge that, hey, we really need to have a 50-foot extension cord. We can't just go out with an 8-foot cord, etc. So there's very often a conflict there. So one of the things that we've taken a lot of initiative to do is create things that can be user configured. We try to work with our customers to work around the units that they need to have the most, and there may well be a mixture that is a place for the essential gear. But in turn, we have other companies that know that their gear is going to change. So we use combinations of foam, Velcro, adjustable partitions, sewing, pouches, etc. And in some circumstances, we almost completely back off a configured interior, have a foam-lined case, and then emphasize the idea that we should be providing just padded bags, more or less, for each component. We've often built a case that can hold 2 trays, where one layer of goods that overlay another. So for that case that holds 2 trays, we may build 4 trays that hold separate items, and we may build a pair of trays that again are completely user configurable. And that also means that further down the road, instead of replacing the whole case if a new piece of gear comes out, wham, you just send them a new tray or a new carry bag. So working through those trade-offs, trying to look a little further down the road, deciding whether or not there is uniformity across your distribution channel. Very often people in one region of the country have requirements that are different than other regions. In turn, you may have folks that are calling on market subspecialties, and in order to be effective there, that may require subtle but small differences in the things that they prioritize when they take in for show and tell. So in turn, that breaks up one of the worst problems imaginable. And that worst problem is that you are tasked with coming up with cases for your sales force, and you are stupid enough to think that you're going to present your idea in front of a group full of salespeople or a group full of trainers, and they're all going to agree on one solution. Never going to happen. So that flexibility is a way to get you off the dime.